私に似てなかった。
くだらねえ。自分のゴーストが信じられないのか。
私みたいな完全に擬態化したサイボーグなら誰でも考えるわ。もしかしたら自分はとっくの昔に死んじゃってて、あの擬態の中にいるのが何なのかどうしても確かめなくちゃならないの。我ら鏡をて見るごとく、見るところ心なり。
Hello everybody, you got Jiraiya here, coming at you with something I'm a little late to the party on, right? So, obviously, been watching a lot of Batman, reading a lot of Batman, playing a lot of Batman. Pause. Anyways, but I decided, you know what? I need to go back to something I haven't done in a while, and just watch a good old-fashioned 90s anime. So what did I pick? Well, if you're watching this video and you've read the title, you know what it is. It's Ghost in the Shell, right? I was looking on Amazon, I was like, why not? Like, let me watch this with the wife. And man, did it pose some questions that I was not ready to ask myself at, 10 o'clock at night. But, that's my mistake. My wife was kind of like, okay, cool, that was something. But, anyways, again, I'm a little late to the party on that. I'm going to be, again, full disclaimer, I've never read the manga. I definitely did not see the abomination that was Scarlett Johansson, playing in that whitewashed Hollywood version of Ghost in the Shell. But, that being said, here are my thoughts on that movie. So, first and foremost, the visuals, right? Even if my wife didn't watch the movie as thoroughly as I did, even she was like, yo, visually speaking, this is something. This is beautiful, right? It really presented a nitty-gritty, I love that term, nitty-gritty. It showed that, hey, this is the future, but the future's not all sunshine and rainbows. It kind of still sucks here, you know what I mean? And you don't see a lot of that in more modern anime. I would say, if anything, a lot of animation in the visuals is dedicated more towards massive action scenes like you'd see in Demon Slayer or Mob Psycho or One Punch Man. It's not a knock on those anime, regardless of what you feel about the stories, etc. But, it's shifted more towards that than, the beautiful background imagery of something like Ghost in the Shell or Cowboy Bebop, or even old school Berserk. Obviously, huge Berserk fan, so you'll never hear me say anything bad about that. Griffith is a terrible person. Anyways, but again, it presents this foreboding, depressing sense of, hey, again, this is the future, and it kind of sucks, right? And it's very easy to say that on a visual level, Ghost in the Shell is a absolute gorgeous work of art, just masterpiece, brilliantly drawn, animated, aged. In my opinion, it's aged super well, because there's a lot of stuff that, you look at today and it's just not the same, right? There's that big thing about, that AI anime, hey, what would this anime look like if it was drawn in the 90s? And more often than not, I feel like they look better, right? And that says a lot, because there's a lot of anime out there that I love, but that I don't think should have to change, but I see these filters and these these AI drawn versions of these anime in the 90s, and I'm like, man, I would pay some significant money to actually watch these things. I say that, I would probably just, go on some sites to watch it for free like everybody else, but that's beside the point. Now, the soundtrack, right? I actually had to listen to the soundtrack again after the fact, because, again, this is my opinion, but it felt actually, that's just it. I felt the soundtrack more than I really heard it, right? I like using Star Wars as a great reference point of, you hear the soundtrack, you feel the soundtrack, it elicits a response from you of oh, this action is happening, this is what's going on in the story. This is what I need to feel. Oh my gosh, like this is who's showing up. And I love all that. But I felt like with Ghost in a Shell, because I just couldn't remember like what I heard, but I could remember what I was feeling when I was thinking about all that was happening, right? With the exception of the introduction, which, again, beautiful introduction, right? My wife said it was akin to Demon Slayer. If anything, because this came out in 1996, Demon Slayer is more akin to that. But, again, it's neither here nor there. Obviously, it's more just, Japanese-style music, but it really... It provided a haunting, foreboding sense of, this haunting, foreboding sense of, not dread, but it's like, you're almost not quite sure, like the sense of doubt, which plays really well in the story, and we're gonna get to that here in a bit, but the entire time I was like, man, it's like something's off, something's not quite right, and I feel like the soundtrack did such a good job of that. Because again, I made sure to listen to it after watching it, right? And I was like, okay, no, that is the feeling I'm getting. I'm not just imagining that. It's that sense of, it makes you question yourself, even just hearing it. Especially because, obviously the subject matter. But, again, we'll get into that here in a bit. But great soundtrack. Not my favorite kind of soundtrack in a sense of, again, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Obviously, I've been on my Batman kick. So, the animated series, Batman music, that's what I think of when I personally prefer, anyways, in terms of good soundtrack. But, again, the soundtrack does its job very well. It makes you feel all these things of, it makes you question a lot, right? But, now, on to the story. Again, spoiler warning in effect. Not because we're going to get super heavy into detail, especially with this, and I'll explain why, but spoiler warning in effect. I never get super in detail, into depth with things that happen, but I like to think it's a very good Cliff Notes version anyways, right? We follow Motoko, Batu, and Section 9. They're essentially this anti-terrorist agency. Again, this is far future. Motoko is a cyborg who suffered an accident when she was a child, so she essentially has a cybertronic brain and body, and a good amount of Section 9 agents are mostly cybernetic in that regard, right? I'm just going to be saying cyber or whatever a lot as we move forward here, but they're essentially tracking this super hacker known as the Puppet Master, who's been ghost hacking, right? And ghost hacking other cybernetic individuals into doing terrorist type stuff. That's the long and short of it, right? They're trying to track the super hacker. They're trying to figure out what his deal is, because he's been hacking into people, kind of erasing their memories and then making them do horrible things, yada yada yada. But I think the biggest thing with the story, as much as they are chasing the Puppet Master, the story is also asking the question of, or at least Motoko is asking the question of, am I really human? Or am I just a machine, right? Because we talk about this all the time, and this is one of those movies that I'm very sure inspired The Matrix, Avatars. Are we just a collective pile of our memories? Is that who we are? Are we who we are because of our physical bodies? Is it a combination of both? Do we have a soul? All that. She's asking these questions, and again, we were watching this at 10 at night. So these are some questions that I was like, yo, I'm kind of getting brain fucked. And I love these kind of questions, but I was just not prepared. Because again, I went into this movie completely no expectations. I didn't know what was going to go on. I just assumed cyborgs, future, anime. Let's have a good time. And wow, really made me think, okay, because you ask these questions, I'm sure everyone's asked these questions to themselves a lot, of who am I really? Am I all my thoughts? Am I all my memories, etc.? And she's going through, and Batu's like, hey, if you're doing this, this, and that, you're probably human, right? If you can, I think it's if you can doubt and you can question, then, you're probably human. Most of the time, machines aren't going to doubt themselves like that, etc. And Motoko's also raising the question, was well, what if my brain is just a copy of a human brain, and it's just programmed to do A, B, and C, right? That's the underlying story of what's happening, aside from the fact that they're trying to catch the puppet master. And it kind of comes back to, because at the end, they finally catch up with the puppet master, and the puppet master's like, hey, I want to have a conversation with you specifically, Motoko. And during that conversation, right, he's like raising all these same questions of, hey, like, what are we, right? Because it's essentially at the end, it's revealed that he's not so much an AI, or at least he doesn't see himself as an artificial intelligence. He wasn't so much created as he was born from the information on the internet, on the information superhighway, so to speak. In the same sense that the comparison is like, it's the same as the first fish that jumped out of the water and decided, I'm going to go for a walk on the land, is how he was created, right? And he makes it known, he's like, yeah, I want to fuse with you, bro. And then I want to make like this bigger, better thing, this being that transcends what we both are. And, before they're destroyed, they're able to fuse. And at the end, it's implied that, hey, the fusion was successful. It's the puppet master isn't the puppet master anymore, as much as Motoko isn't Motoko anymore. They are something bigger. They're something greater. And then they kind of leave and go on from there. Now, I know there's more movies. Again, there's a manga. I haven't gotten around to reading those because, again, this was something I was watching literally like 12 hours ago. So in between then and now, I had to collect my thoughts, watch like 3 or 4 analyses videos, listen to the soundtrack over again to kind of gather my thoughts so I can make this video. But I thought it was overall, from my first impression, as well as the video analyses from it, as well as the questions that it raises, I thought, wow, this is actually a very good movie in that sense. I'm an idiot, so I was very confused at some points. That's why I watched these analyses, to kind of confirm my thoughts. But it was one of those things where there's some movies that kind of give you everything on a silver platter, right? And there's other movies that make you think and make you like try to get you to understand, as well as ask questions so that, hey, maybe you have a different understanding of the story than everybody else, right? Or at the very least, if the movie's posing a question, you have your own answer, based on the information the story's given you, you have your own answer as much as everybody has theirs. And I always enjoy, they're essentially like mindfuck movies, right? Like The Matrix is, are we in the Matrix? Is everything a simulation? Right? That kind of deal. Well, this one is like, are we really human? Are we, just a miserable pile of secrets? I can't remember where I heard that. I just really wanted to say it. But, yeah, like, what are we really? Are we just our memories? Do we have a soul? Are we just our physical bodies? If you take your memories and put them in somebody else, is it still the same person, right? Kind of like the analogy that if I have an old car and over time I replace every part of that car with a brand new part until every part is completely new, is it still the same car or is it a different car, right? Again, it asks a whole bunch of questions that I myself am still asking myself, because again, I watched this at like close to midnight. My brain still kind of hurts, but man, I had a lot of fun making this and just thinking, wow, like maybe I should watch more so I could actually get smarter. But it's neither here nor there. For now, at least, I'm going to embrace the idea that I'm an idiot. But in terms of my overall rating, right, I would give it a solid 8.5. On a good day, I'd give it a 9 out of 10, right? I'm not going to go with analogies because I already hurt my brain watching this movie. Again, it would probably be even higher if I wasn't such an idiot. But, hey, live and learn, right? I appreciate you guys coming in on this video. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys hit like, share, and subscribe, I appreciate all the support you can give me. Gives me the courage to keep going and making videos. So, appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Jiraiya, outie.